You're doing great.
I am Chuck Macy. I've farmed most of my life here in southern Indiana. In '93, we ran into some real problems. I collapsed, and nobody really knew why. I'd lost the ability to control my right arm, right leg, actually the whole right side of my body. And at times I couldn't get enough flex out of my diaphragm to even suck in enough air to be able to speak. And that's where I was in '93. I was finally diagnosed by an individual that it was heavy metal toxins, and we had the surgeries from the dentist to take all that out, and we stopped poisoning ourselves with every mouthful of food. But there was no way to get all the toxins out of the nervous system and the body fat and muscle and the other organs. And we fought that until 2006. We did a lot of conventional and unconventional medications, vitamins and supplements, and we just did a bunch of things. But when Relive came along, I could tell within really just a couple of 3 days that something on the inside was working better than what it had been. And so we continued with the program, and that was in like September in the fall, and then by the next spring, February or so, we knew things were really doing better. And that's when we decided to become master affiliates so that we could have the maximum amount of savings to the products that were really changing our life. And by June, I decided to get off all of my medications, anxiety and depression meds and things like that, because really what we were getting out of those is just side effects. So that was the quick results that we had. Really, it took, a few more years and things just kept getting better. We got some really quick results, but we got some long-term results. And every now and then something happens, and I look back last year, the year before, and actually still I can find things I can do better today than I could back then. So that was our quick story. We're
Excellent.
So grateful that, one, that somebody shared with us, and two, that we stuck with it to make sure and tested and tried and questioned and learned. And that's the big thing.
Probably somebody else who became a master affiliate and decided to do the business shared with you, and I know you passed that on to others. Now, you also mentioned to me that you had some tinnitus, I believe, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, that was, actually there were so many things. We had tinnitus. That was one of the things. The ears are really sensitive. That's very little of a problem anymore. Once in a while when I'm around a lot of loud noises, using a hammer, if somebody else is hammering on steel, that bothers me a little bit, but I know it'll go away quickly. It's nothing like it was. My dreams, my sleep was so troubled that I was relegated to another room.
Wow.
I was violent in my dreams. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
That was another side effect.
Probably from the drugs, huh?
And we got results with all those things just simply by giving the body the building blocks that it needed. And then we also, I think the fiber store was one of the key things. The digestible fiber that's in that product was able to help pull those toxins out of the cells over time and make things go again.
Wonderful. Well, what a good choice to become a master affiliate, and not only do you get the savings, but you're eligible then for those 5 avenues of income, and as you share with other people. Thanks so much, Chuck, for being on here and sharing with us today.
You're welcome.
I think we'll stay in snow country here and go to Colleen Lennon. Folks, if you have a lack for friends, you need to get involved with Relive. I just met this young lady this past week, and we had such a fun time on the phone. I asked her if she would get on here and share her story, and I know we're going to get on the phone together again. Colleen, would you share with us what Relive means to you?
Yes, hi. Yeah, it was great, Mary. Thanks so much again for doing that. My name is Colleen Lennon. I've been in Relive, or taking the Relive products for 19 years. Just got into the business full-time this last year. My first results were when I was actually a fundraiser in Chicago and under a lot of stress. And my mother had already been on the products, and she asked me to start taking them, just try it, and see if it would help me with my stress and my mood swings and things like that. And I did, and I'll be darned if it didn't help. And then I didn't order right away again, and actually some of the people I worked with came into my office and said, "Did you run out of that powder stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, why? Can you tell?" And they said, "Oh, yeah." So that was awakening and a little embarrassing. So another thing that I realized that when I got back on the product, I realized that I didn't have any pain in my legs anymore. I have arthritis from my hips to my toes from a car accident where I crushed all my, my ankles, my knees. I was supposed to have knee replacements by now, and I've avoided all of that. I used to get upper respiratory infections every spring and every fall like clockwork since I was really young. And the last one was double pneumonia. So I got really serious about the products about 10 years ago and took it consistently. That was the key for me because I wasn't always very consistent. And I can tell you now that I haven't had one of those upper respiratory infections in the last 10 years. I have actually gotten a little bit of I know, it's amazing to me too. I get a little bit of a cold, to start to come on, and then I just take more shakes and it actually goes away. So I'm always surprised by how well these products work. But some of my favorite results were my mother, who got me started on this, actually got through, she was 62, I think, when she was diagnosed with COPD, and she improved her quality of life tenfold by being religious and taking these products all the time and taking a lot of it. People with COPD often end up in the hospital 3 to 5 times a year with what they call exacerbations, and my mom was able to avoid that well into her 80s. She did go to the hospital once or twice, here and there, but nothing like most people. She was out and about. She was able to be active. And then at 79, she was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, and she upped her product, and the doctors were afraid of her getting through that surgery okay because they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to take the ventilator out right after the surgery, but she came through it with flying colors. She had to go through chemo as the follow-up, and the nurses there were just amazed at how well she was doing because she actually didn't lose any hair, she didn't lose any weight, she didn't get sick, and this was at 79, 80 years old. So,
oh my word, that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's so many more things, my dad, my brothers, everybody else. And so anyway, long story short, I decided to get into the business full time, and I'm doing it now, and I'm having a blast. I'm meeting really fun people like Mary, and she's helping me talk to some folks. And another friend of mine down in Florida just got some results this week that I was really happy about. She has she has psoriatic arthritis that's been very bad for her. And she actually told me that she was able to stop her steroid shots. So we're working out other things with her, but that's huge for her. So I'll be doing this forever.
Absolutely. How does it make you feel when you can change someone's life like that? Isn't that awesome?
Oh my God, I get goosebumps telling you about it because Mary, it just happened a couple days ago, and I'm like, yep. I'm so excited for her. Yeah, very, very excited for her, and she's excited too. So
she is. She is. Yep.
So, yeah.
Fantastic.
That's my story.
Well, thank you so much for getting on and sharing with us all, and we'll have to get back together.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mary.
All righty. Lena in Pennsylvania, are you still on there?
I am.
Wonderful. Would you share with everybody what Relive means to you?
I sure will. I'm honored to be on your call, Mary.
Well, I'm honored to have you.
Okay. I'm Lena Ocker from here in Pennsylvania, 40 miles north of Harrisburg. Live on a farm with my husband of 48 years. 4 years ago, we learned about Relive when I was trying to find something to lower my cholesterol. I was on a statin drug, and my cholesterol only came down 15 points in 4 months. The doctor wanted to put me on more meds, and I didn't want to do that. So I gave Relive a try. In 2 months, my cholesterol came down 54 points and 22 more points in the next couple months. The first thing that I noticed was lots more energy, jumping out of bed at 3 and 4 in the morning, feeling great. I was not a morning person before. I had no more hiatal hernias, no acid reflux. I used to spend a lot of time in the chiropractor's office. Don't do that anymore. After being on Relive for 2 years, I went back to tell him why I haven't seen him. He wondered. Okay, but the best part of my story is my husband's. That's the best part of my life anyway. He was helping dig a grave by hand. He was on the products already, but he was doing something he usually doesn't do. He was throwing dirt up over his head for an hour. Then he went into the silo, and you know what you do there. That's heavy work. And while he was up there, he felt a strange feeling in his stomach, and he realized his heart is beating too fast. He was standing in the silo taking his own pulse, and I was very unaware anything was wrong. He came into the house. He was very tired and weak, and his blood pressure was way too high. When we got to the doctor's office, he said to my husband, "At least you made it to 66." Can you believe that?
Thank you very much.
I said, "Doctor, that's not nice." He wasn't looking at my husband. He was looking at his records. Both his parents died of heart attacks. One was 65 and the other was 75. He has 5 brothers, and 4 of the 5 brothers had open heart surgery in their 60s. The 5th one had 2 stents put in while having a heart attack this past year. So the doctor ordered a stress test and an echo test, and he found fluid behind his heart. And he said he doesn't know what the fluid's doing there, and he can't take it off with a fluid pill. He'd have to go in there with a needle. I thought, that sounds scary. So we talked to the doctor about supplements, and he gave us 6 months. And when he repeated the test, he said, "I have good news. There is almost no fluid there." That was after all this started happening, is when he started the cardio. He had not been on the cardio before.
Uh-huh.
So now he got off of his cholesterol meds completely, off of one blood pressure med, and we're about ready to take him off of another. And today I took his blood pressure, and it was 99 over 61. It doesn't have to be that though. So anyway, it's been really great. I think one of the things that we need to remember, we have to praise the Lord that somebody that he allowed somebody to make the product, and then for somebody to bring the news to us. Yeah. And I had a few surprises in being with the company, which I really love, making a lot of friends. When would I have made so many friends? I soon had a couple Dr. Ted plaques. In the first couple months, I won a cruise to the Bahamas, and a couple of years ago, I was #1 in the nation.
Wow.
And last week, I had a surprise when Don Gibbons called me and congratulated me for being in the top 10.
Fantastic.
I was in the bottom of the top 10, but I didn't care where I was. It's great. I love to help people and excited when somebody gets results.
Now, are you in a big city there?
No, I'm on a farm in the country. And I
so you can work Relive from anywhere, can't you?
Yeah, I don't have a telephone in my house. Remember that?
Yes. So no,
it's great. I love it.
It is wonderful to be able to help other people. And Lena, I thank you so much for getting on here. And I'm glad we found each other again.
You're quite welcome. Thanks.
All right. I think we're going to make a run for the border now. Heather Price up in Ontario, would you come on and share what's happened for you?
Hi, Mary. Thanks for asking me to be on the call.
Thank you for getting on, Heather.
My background is that I was a teacher and a consultant, special ed, and that type of thing. And I had a family, 2 girls and a husband, and I also musical, professional musician. And in the midst of all that, I was hit from behind in a car so that it caused severe whiplash. And that took a year to get over. And then a few years later, I was hit again from behind. And in order to keep going, I compromised that the only way I could carry on was if I took major doses of Tylenol 3 and 292s and that type of thing. And so again, I carried on. And then I had a third incident, and out of that developed chronic pain. And so at that
Another
point...
car accident?
Another car accident, yes.
Oh, my word, girl.
At that point, my neck had just about had it. And so the doctor said the only way I could continue on was to go on more major doses of morphine. And so I did. And for the next 15 years, that was how I managed. And then after that, I also developed osteoporosis, and so started taking medication for that. And the result from all of that was that I was getting very severe side effects in terms of how it was all affecting my internal organs. At that point, thankfully, my daughter, who had married an American and was living in Pennsylvania, had their first child had cystic fibrosis. And when she was 11 years old, she was just getting sicker from the drugs. And so my daughter discovered Relive. And at that point, I had tried everything that could possibly even be mentioned that might help pain, and nothing had. And so at the same time, I agreed to start on Relive. Well, after about a month, for the first time in 15 years, pain was not the first thing that I woke up with. And over the next 2 years, I continued taking the Now and the Luna Rich. And after 2 years, my pain was gone. And then over the next few years, I was able to get off the morphine as well. And then I had a nasty surprise that a very severe pain in my back discovered that I had arthritis from the top of my spine to the bottom. And so thanks to Bill Perrin, he introduced me to something, we call it in Canada A-effect, but it's for arthritis. And after 3 months, I was pain-free again. So, and then recently I had heart surgery, and of course they want to put you on all the drugs to prevent anything from happening. And I found that I was allergic to everything, and the statins started up the chronic pain again. So I just increased the Luna Rich, especially the capsules, and I right now I am pain-free and don't take any medication. And so for anybody that has had injuries from car accidents or osteoporosis or arthritis, I can tell you that if you just persevere with the Relive, it can change your life. And I am so happy to say that I'm now pain-free and only take Relive. And my daughter's daughter, so that was 2007 she started. She is checked every 6 months at the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. And her lung capacity has increased. She runs marathons. She swims.
Oh, you're kidding.
She goes 100 miles an hour, almost 24 hours a day. She's just a bundle of energy. And they can't get over, and they're amazed at what they're seeing in the tests that they're running that they've never seen in cystic fibrosis children before. So
she
I'm
runs
so
marathons.
So thankful.
Wow.
For Relive.
That's incredible, Heather. Wow. Okay, now so talk to me about RSD.
Oh, yes. I had reflex sympathetic dystrophy that developed from a bad left arm break. And what it does is it opens the pain channels of the sympathetic nervous system, so they're turned on at 10 at all times. And so I was able to go into the hospital for 5 weeks, and they had nerve blocks, but I'm convinced that that has not come back because of the pain power that Relive has, especially the Luna Rich capsules.
The Luna Rich capsules, yeah.
Yes, and of course, I should mention also that exercise and swimming and treadmill are an important point of it, but if you take care of your body and you give it Relive so that the cells are rebuilding, there's almost you're almost like a new person.
That's fantastic. Yes, it all works together, doesn't it, Heather?
It does. It does. I'm so thankful.
Yeah, got to get good sleep and drink water and eat properly and exercise and take the Relive. Yeah.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Do all the right things to take care of your body, but Relive does work for pain, especially chronic pain, for arthritis, for osteoporosis, and for heart follow-up. So I highly recommend it.
I guess you would. I bet you're telling lots of people about it, too.
That's right. Yeah, that's
fantastic.
right. I say they're looking at a miracle because I really should be in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Well, thank you so much for taking time to share, Heather. I appreciate that.
Mary.
We're going to go clear across the country out to California now, and Warren Cook, would you kind of tell us what's changed for your family since you started on the Relive? Warren, are you out there? Uh-oh. Warren, I'm not hearing you if you're talking. Might have to press *6 to unmute, Warren.
Well, our story is really good, and we are so thankful for Relive in our life. 2 years ago, Rachel, my wife, had just got out of the hospital from congestive heart failure, severe sleep apnea, and pneumonia. And it was Uncle Roger that suggested that she get on Relive right away, and we thought it was a good idea. And so we ordered it and started taking it, and it seemed like just within a few days that she started feeling better. She started getting color back in her skin, and little by little, she just started feeling better and better. And at the same time, I thought that I was invincible, and I was still smoking a cigar, like one cigar a day. And I was just taking a little bit of the product because I felt like it was mainly that Rachel that needed it.
Sure.
And but I had developed a toothache, and it was an abscess, and all of a sudden I started feeling my heart hurt after several days. And so I went to the dentist to try to get the tooth out, but they said, no, you're going to have to go to a regular doctor and find out why your heart's hurting. So I went, and the doctor said that I had a bivesicular block, and he put me on 3 drugs, including the statin drug, which I later found out that the statin drugs are among the 7 deadliest drugs on the market. And there was about a page and a half of the side effects that could occur, which was very scary. And so I immediately, at the same time, he was urging me to go in for exploratory surgery so they could really take care of what the problem is. And I said, well, let's just see how things go. And I immediately got on the phone with Uncle Roger and asked him, hey, this is the situation. He says, well, along with the Classic and Energize that you're taking, I suggest that you get on the Lunar Rich X capsules and the Cardio Essentials. And I started doing that, and I started feeling better right away. And in just a couple of weeks, I quit taking the medication altogether, and I waited for a couple of months, and I was even felt twice as good. And so I had to let the doctor know, sorry, I'm not going to take these drugs, and I'm definitely not going to go for surgery because I feel 100% better. And he says, well, if you ever have any problems, give me a call back. And I says, you should take a look at this all-natural product. And he said, no, it's not FDA approved, so I don't look at anything unless it's FDA approved. And I had to jokingly say, you mean the things that all have the death-causing side effects? And but he just reiterated that he just went with FDA products. And anyways, I was feeling great. But in the meantime, Rachel was still continuing to get better. At first, she started doing exercises by sitting down in a chair and they were actually exercise meant for old people. But at that time, she was 53. And anyways, because she's overweight, when I first met her, she was on 14 medications, and now after being on the products for just about 2 years, it was about 3 or 4 months ago that she finally got off of all of the 14 medications that she was once on, and also that she's lost over 52 pounds, and she's exercising daily with an aerobic thing, which she couldn't. There's no way 2 years ago that she could have did an aerobics for 20 to 30 minutes because it would hurt too much, and all the time her pain level was like at a 10. Every time we went to the doctor, they would ask her, what's your pain level from 1 to 10? And she would usually say right up at 10. But now if you ask her, where's her pain level, she goes, I don't have a pain level.
Oh, fantastic.
She does not have pain. And she says, now if she stands for a long time, she'll get some pain, but nowhere near the kind of pain that she did 2 years ago. So we are so thankful to have the life-changing Relive, and that it's inspired us to exercise on a daily basis. And I just hit another new high I do 7-minute exercises, and among those 7 exercises is push-ups. Yesterday morning, 83 push-ups is my all-time too high.
Good for you. That's fantastic.
I'm 67.
Wow. Yeah, we're all getting younger, aren't we, with Relive?
Yeah.
Warren, thanks so much for getting on and sharing your story. I'm just so excited and glad to have you share on the call today.
Thanks, Aunt Mary.
We're going to conclude by right here in California as well. I have John-Julene Peters on there, and she's going to share how Relive has changed their lives and her family. Thank you so much, John-Julene.
Hi, can you hear me?
You sure can.
Okay, good. Well, I am John-Julene Peters, and thank you, Mary, for having me on the call tonight.
Well,
I'm John-Julene
my pleasure.
Peters. I'm from a little town outside of Sacramento called Rio Linda, California, and my Relive journey started about 12 years ago. Our family was in Japan as pastors, pastoring churches, and for the majority of almost 10 years, my quality of life was more bedridden than not. I was 38 years old when we came back to America, trying to find answers to my health. I had all over pain and fatigue. I was dealing with a lot of autoimmune issues. I was passing out all the time, and we didn't have any answers. The doctors here in the States told me that at 38, my body was shutting down. I had the body of an 80-year-old. I was living on my adrenals, and when my adrenals shut down, I would be dead. They basically told me, you need to bring your family home, make funeral plans. My quality of life consisted of literally being in a recliner and crawling on the floor to the bathroom or to my bedroom. And I couldn't stand or sit without passing out. I got really bad. So
I guess.
I heard about Relive through a friend of a friend. This person didn't even know me. They lived in Texas, but she had heard about my story, and so she called me, and she started putting the evidence in front of me. For 4 months, I was very skeptical. I have a background in nutrition. I actually was having supplements made for my body that weren't really doing me any good, obviously. But she put the power of Relive and the stories in front of me, and by then, I was over $50,000 in debt from all of the alternative options we had tried with chiropractic, medicines, the supplements I was taking as well. And so I wasn't looking for another thing to spend my money on. But through the power of the stories, I was hearing people not only getting results, but making an income. And honestly, my reason for coming into Relive, other than wanting to see what it was about, was kind of a morbid. But what I did is I thought, well, what if when I died, I could turn that $50,000 into profit instead of debt? Because most of that debt was caused by my health issues and a couple other health issues in our family. And so through all the stories I heard, you know what, there's a lot of people out there who could really benefit from this business opportunity and these health products. I probably am too far gone, and so probably won't be able to, do a lot. But if I can get good enough that I could share this with other people, then that could benefit my family because of the residual income. So when I was dead, they would have a residual income instead of a debt. So kind of morbid, but it is my story. And so I came.
So you don't have to believe in Relive to take it and get results, do you?
No, but I believed for other people, and I believed for my family. So my why was different. But what I did, Mary, is I actually came into the business when I got onto the product. I did take a lot of product that was on my own. I decided to do that through the stories of what I was hearing. And the first results I got were my cognitive issues. I was able better to think and speak. I couldn't barely talk at the time. I knew what my name is, but I couldn't get it out. Within 6 months, I was 70% symptom-free. My blood work that was off the charts before I got on Relive was completely clean. A biopsy on my thyroid that they thought was cancer was completely clean. A little after that, I was on a treadmill test, which I couldn't even get up on a treadmill prior to that, and I was able to pass that as well. Within a year and a half, those doctors who basically told me to plan my funeral released me from their care. I am pretty much, symptom-free most of the time. Now, I'm not cured. It's not a cure. When I don't take enough Relive and stress with my body, if I'm not expecting it, it does take me down, and I have some of the same symptoms, but my quality of life is completely different. I literally built a business from my bed, and when I was doing three-way calls, about half the time I would be passing out.
Wow.
But I was able to build a business because of the system that Relive has that we can plug into. I was able to do that across the United States and around the world, just connect people to what Relive had to offer them. And in doing that, in my first year, we averaged about $1,000 a month, so we made about $12,000 that first year. Second year, that doubled. Third year, it doubled again. Our highest month during that time was about $9,000. And as a person who goes to church, I got to pay a $900 tithe, which was more than I made in any other type of opportunity, but that was my tithe, so that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I'd never even made that kind of money in a month, let alone been able to tithe that much. So that was really exciting for me. But, each of those dollars that we made was because somebody else's lives was touched, and, the business was able to help a lot of people. And, the products always work. I like what Valerie Opie says that, she mentioned in a call one time that, she didn't make the products and she didn't make the marketing plan. Relive did all that. All we do is we just take the products. They always work, and we plug into the system, and it always pays people. So it's just been really exciting to be a part of that. The wonderful thing about Relive is I had some stuff come up in my life. I was able to take a step back. I didn't take a step back from the products, though. But and now I've been able to step back in, and my reason is why is very different now. There's a lot of people out there who need a residual income, retirement, and different things like that. Plus, they need these products and the quality of life that they can get for them. So that's what my why is now, is just to help as many people as I can to have hope. So that's my story. And I've been able to do things that I couldn't do 10 years prior to Relive. Probably within a few years after getting on Relive, I've been able to coach my daughter and son's soccer teams, been able to ride horses, ski, water ski, do the kinds of things that I used to do that I wasn't able to do anymore. Been able to raise my 5 kids, homeschool them, different things like that. So I love Relive. I can never imagine ever stopping doing this. So
I guess not. I guess not. I love how your why has changed. That's just awesome. Now did I remember correctly that you had a daughter that had a little struggle at birth?
I did. In fact, she was standing here. I said, "Do you want to share your story?" She's like, "No." But yes, when I was very, very ill, my youngest daughter, my fifth child, was born. And she just had a lot of colds and flu symptoms, but being with a sick mom, that would be reasonable. So when I got on Relive, I put her on it. All those cold and flu symptoms, which is what we thought it was, went away. And shortly, after a couple years on the products, one night in the middle of the night, she ended up having a seizures. Well, come to find out, those cold and flu symptoms were actually seizures, where she would vomit, but of course it was happening in the middle of the night, so I didn't know it. And the pediatric neurologist heard her whole story. Apparently, she had had trauma at birth. We didn't realize it, which had caused the seizures. And Relive was controlling that. So we got her back on the products, and we've had to make a few adjustments, but until she went through puberty, she was only on Relive, never on any medication whatsoever. And she is on medication now, but that was because she hit puberty, and I changed the products on her, so the doctors forced me to put her on medication. But we have been able to wean her down to a minimal dose. She takes quite a bit of Relive, and at this point, for, when she's consistent and faithful, she is, they're controlled. But
wonderful.
Just our whole quality of life in our family is completely different.
No, when you said you built your business from your bed, I mean, this is just unheard of. So you just, what do you mean by connecting people? What's that mean?
Well, what I would do is, let's say, Mary, that I wanted someone to hear your story, and I have a friend who really needs to hear your story, so I would tell my friend Sam, you really need to hear Mary's story. When's a good time? And so I would take and call Sam, and then I would do a 3-way call over to Mary, and I would ask you, Mary, would you please share your story with Sam? And I would tell Sam, this is my friend Mary. She has a fantastic story about how she's built a business and had helped a lot of people and gotten great results. And then I'd be quiet. I'd let you share. And during that point was when I probably passed out multiple times. And, of course, I was connecting them with my upline as well. So in that point, Mary would have went, Jay, are you still there? Or John Jeline, are you still there? And so I would have come back. But it did work. And, and then also we had, different places around. I was able to send people to different, the Tuesday presentations, the Saturday trainings, conferences, and different things like that where they could hear about Relive as well. So those were, just the different ways that we do Relive, that we have opportunities to plug people in. So
absolutely. It's all about getting stories in front of people, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And it takes the pressure off, because it really isn't about me. Yep. And I tell people, it was almost easier to build Relive when I was sick, because I really couldn't get myself in the middle of it. Because the healthier I've been, the more I try to make it about me, but I have to realize, this really isn't about me. It's about everybody else, and they have to hear this. And if, they're open, then you just share what you can. If they're not, the opportunity comes around, they might be. But you just share with the people that you can and keep supporting them. And the products always work, and Relive always pays you if you share. That's the bottom line.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much, John Jeline, for sharing with us tonight. And I want to thank all of those who shared on the call this evening. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll come back and give you that playback number.